Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Wellbeing Pod. I am Emmanuel, and I am joined here today by Devisha and our special guest, Ala Kozireva. How are you, Ala?
I'm very well. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Devisha. It's my honor to be here with you.
Oh, okay. I'll just ask you to maybe tell us a bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. So I'm a leadership well-being trainer at Abias Institute of Universal Awareness. I was born and raised in Ukraine. I'm Australian citizen. I lived there for 11 years, and I'm a world traveler. Now I'm residing in Mauritius at the moment, and yes, very lucky to be here on this beautiful island with all of you. And yes.
It's
Thank
a
you.
pleasure to have you as well, Ala. And we're here today, to discuss a very important topic, a topic that touches a lot of our students. So we'll try, in the next 30 minutes to bring a little bit more light on these. So without
Sure.
further ado, we'll get started. So my first question to you is, right now, a lot of people experience anxiety around uncertainties that's present in the world, especially when it comes to the future of our young people. So how do you suggest that people can navigate this anxiety and maintain a sense of control over the unknown?
Definitely. I can relate to that very well. So, why do we actually have the anxiety and fear? Um, Actually, it is because our mind is in the future. And when our mind is in the future, it is a guarantee that we will have this stress and this anxiety
Mm,
because we're constantly worried about what will happen next, what will happen if this happens, what will happen if
Mm,
that happens, right?
yeah, yeah.
So we might be worried and concerned about our performance, about our pathway in life, where we're headed towards, concerned about how everything will unfold and happen, right?
Mm,
So we actually might have difficulty meeting these expectations that come from our family or from society. And so the mind becomes wavering, it's agitated
mhm,
because emotions have taken over it. The emotions have
mm,
taken over it, over our mind. So actually, the mind is not the problem here. The problem is that our emotions have taken over the mind and we get very easily distracted because the
right.
emotion fear, right? What will happen next?
Mm,
We're fearing the future. And so our mind is lurking constantly into the future. And then we start acting based on these expectations, which are dictated by our emotions and not a conscious thought that comes from our presence. I want to ask you actually, can we control anything outside of ourselves? Like, can we control the events and the circumstances?
definitely.
no, no.
We can't, right? Nobody can do that, actually. I can't do that either.
Mhm,
But we want to control. Why do we want to control, right? Why do we all want to control? Because we want to escape into the future. We fantasize about it, right? Because
Mhm.
right now, we're very uncomfortable in this present moment where we are right now, this very second, you could say. Because this present moment where we are right now, as it is, it's very uncomfortable for us and we want to run away from it. We want to run away into the future. But actually, the only way to have peace of mind, you could say, to have that peace, is to be in this present moment as
mhm.
it is unfolding right here, right now, however it is. When we're fully present in this moment, that there will be actually no anxiety, no fear, because we'll be very attentive here and now with whatever it is.
Right, yeah.
Does it
It
make
is
sense?
quite hard. Yeah, it does make sense. It makes sense. It definitely makes sense. And I think it's also a bit maybe hard because there's often like as you said that desire to just want to escape the now. So I guess practicing mindfulness is what we all need to engage in probably
Yeah, being in the moment, being
in the moment.
present. Yes, being attentive, actually, absolutely.
Yeah. I think there's also a certain like struggle between like who we are and who we want to become. So, like, how can people reconcile that internal conflict and just find peace in the present, as we said, while still working towards their future self?
Sure, yes. Actually, we have this physical body, right? All of us do. Yeah. And our body actually has this memorized behavioral patterns where our actions happen automatically, as if we're on an autopilot. I want to ask you a question also. When you wake up in the morning, what do you do when you wake up? What are your habitual ways of functioning?
We stretch.
Do you get up from the same side of the bed?
Oh, yes, probably.
Yeah, same.
Maybe you reach for, I don't know, water, tea, or coffee. Like you do the same thing when you wake up. What are your actions? Each and every action that you perform.
Yeah, we have a routine.
Mm.
Yeah.
So actually, yeah, we do same thing, right? Throughout the day. But how aware are we actually of each and every action that we perform? That's my question, my next question. Like
we do it so automatically that we are not necessarily aware, right? It's when you're asking the questions that I'm going back and I'm thinking, okay, what do I do
What do I do? Yeah.
Right? So we have to think actually, like, because it happens automatically, like you're saying. Are we really attentive of ourselves? Or are we just going through the motions without any conscious awareness of how we're actually conducting ourselves? Yeah. So actually what happens is our body and mind have become one. In other words, what I'm trying to say is we don't have control over it. Our actions just happen without us being conscious of them, as if we are going through the motions, but presence is missing. Is it so?
In a lot of what we do, yes, it's very true. We are basically on autopilot, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what can be one, like, let's have an example. What could be one of these condition patterns that I was talking about? So, for example, we might have a tendency to put a lot of pressure on ourselves by leaving it to very last day to study before exams approach. Yeah. Like we try to memorize the material just so that we can get a good mark without actually taking time throughout the semester to imbibe the teachings in a more discipline conscious manner. So this could be one of the examples of this habitual behavior. Does it happen? I don't know.
Oh, it does. I
Oh,
can
yeah,
see
it
that
does.
it does.
It does. Especially for students, it happens a lot.
Yeah. So actually here what's happening is that our discipline is lacking, right? The task becomes very insurmountable with pressure because we haven't actually managed our time well. And that's why we experience stress. So over a period of time, we develop a pattern that can continue on further throughout our life, becoming more ingrained in us. Yeah, it becomes repetitive behavior, which can actually inhibit our growth and our potential. So we might think, okay, studying last minute can make me more productive, but actually last minute pressure we put on ourselves doesn't actually allow us to inculcate what we're trying to learn. Yeah. So what can we do? What can be done? Again, coming back to that presence. Yeah. So if we're actually present and involved in the process, each moment. Yeah. And we actually need to change our perspective, how we see it. So if we want to get a better result, we need to realize that what are the patterns of behavior that are currently an impediment to my progress? What are these tendencies? What are these dispositions that are stopping me from reaching where I want to reach, or becoming better version of myself? And that actually happens through expansion of our awareness. So we can actually even make a list of, like, list them one by one. What are those things, right, that are stopping me? And how can I do what needs to be done? So this dichotomy that we're talking about between who you are and whom you want to become. So I'm operating based on who I am right now, and my actions are not aligned with that. So I'm not better than who I am right now. I'm not behaving better, or I'm not conducting myself better than who I am right now. I'm operating from these conditioned patterns, maybe from these tendencies. Yeah. And it happens automatically, like we said. So if I become aware of how I'm operating right now and understand myself better, without judgment, of course, I can actually do something to change something about myself. I can be better and do something better so that I can reach to my fullest potential, to my higher goal, to the higher purpose in my life. Yes. So actually, it comes with self-awareness and acceptance of where we are right now in this present moment, accepting it, not judging it, and moving towards our higher goals. So we don't continue to perpetuate this cycle further on.
Mm, definitely. And I feel like it's difficult to do that sometimes, to accept where we are at.
Yeah.
But it's a valid fight that we need to have with ourselves to be able to move forward, in the best way towards the goals that we have. Speaking of goals, finding a life purpose is sometimes a source of stress for students and professional both. So, what do you think would be some ways to find clarity in someone's life purpose, especially when juggling academic or professional responsibilities?
Yes, definitely, definitely. So all of us are here on this planet for a reason, right? To do something significant, something extraordinary, aren't we all? We're all here, right? So we
Yeah.
have all of us are here for something extraordinary, and we have our physical body for a reason. And this physical body actually has the memory of the past experiences that are entrapped in the cells. So many of us go through life dictated by these memories of the past, by these conditioned patterns of behavior, without that awareness of our true essence of being that is actually beyond this physical body. So to awaken to our fullest potential, like what you're saying, yes, we need to enhance our level of awareness, which requires our attentiveness in each moment in time. So I wouldn't actually know what my higher calling in life is if I'm operating from these memories of the past. So it begins actually with bringing the body and mind in a state of synchronicity first. This is the most important, where our emotions do not dictate our thoughts. In other words, we need to create a gap between emotions and thoughts with our presence. And that is what's going to give us that clarity that we're seeking, how to proceed forward from that presence. Yes, not from conditioned patterns, not from these emotional decisions, yes, but from clarity of thought, which comes from that presence. So when we start to operate from presence, we will be very discerning of each and single action. We will not be wasting our precious time on unnecessary things that do not deserve our time, that waste our energy. And we will be intuitively guided towards our highest purpose, our potential in life.
Wow. Yeah, I think it does require a lot of like just sitting with yourself and just dwelling in the moment and just taking in who exactly you are, what you're doing, and just a lot of introspection, if I can say, and to bring out that awareness of yourself and where you go from there.
Yeah, a
Absolutely.
lot of it would also, I think you talked about mindfulness at the beginning, Emma. We also have to bear in mind that the past is out of our control, like you said, Ella. It's we can't keep having it during our decisions of what we want to do in our future as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's true. Because focusing on the past or in the future kind of robs us of time as well that we could use for the present because the present is where we are right now. And it's the only time that we can really control, not control per se, but like, contribute to in real time. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Talking about the presence, like I know it's a bit also hard to maintain, healthy habits when we're faced with challenges and especially like academic workloads and personal stress. So, Ala, do you think there are like simple ways yet effective that people can adopt to support their physical and mental well-being?
Definitely, definitely. Actually, yes, you're right. Integration of conscious lifestyle practices is very important to help
Mm-hmm.
us face those daily challenges with inner
Yeah.
calmness, composure. Yes. For example, our food habits have a lot to do with our emotions. So we might reach for foods for comfort when we're under a lot of pressure, such as before exams, for example. We might
Yeah.
be anxious. We might be distracting ourselves with a phone or TV. And because we're distracted, we end up eating too fast or more than the body requires. And we swallow a lot of air if talking while eating, which results in bloating, indigestion, heartburn.
Yeah.
Tell me. It happens a lot, I think. And actually, when we eat more consciously, this is one tip, we can subside the intensity of our emotions, such as anger, for example. And we can break our habitual patterns of conditioned behavior that we've been talking about previously. So, as a result of conscious eating, our digestion will be more, it'll be better, it'll function better because we won't be overeating or eating foods that may be damaging to our cells.
Mhm.
And we'll be very attentive to the process of eating so that even in 6 months' time, if we just continuously do this practice, we can be more calm and grounded in the face of challenges. That's one tip. There's another very important practice we can do. Our breath, okay? Our breath, how we breathe is actually really significant. If we can regulate our breath in a specific way, we can again subside the intensity of our emotions and have that clarity of thought that we were talking about previously, gaining that clarity, right? That everybody
Mm-hmm.
wants and seeks.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of scrolling through social media, for example, and taking it all the unnecessary information, when we first wake up in the morning and just before we go to bed, it is very beneficial to just sit still with ourselves for 5 to 20 minutes, whatever your time allows, and do conscious breathing.
Mm.
So, can we imagine our life without the breath?
Definitely.
No. Nope.
Not really, right? But actually, we have taken our breath for granted. We don't even
Mm.
notice how we're breathing throughout the day.
Mhm.
But our breath is the most significant key to help us bring our body and mind in that synchronicity. It's a bridge between the two. And it requires discipline, of course, to do that practice. But again, in 6 months' time, if we can just have that discipline and commitment to sit and do this practice, we can see significant changes.
I definitely agree with that. I think it's something that even during sessions, it's the first thing that you would probably teach as a habit to students to focus on their breath, and you could regain control of the situation with the simple act of breathing deep breaths, and it's life-changing if you practice it at some point for people who experience stress, anxiety, mainly those two. Breath work, I think, can really make a change in how you feel and how you manage emotions, like intense emotions.
Yeah, and it's
100%.
also really interesting because it's like something so simple. It's like
Yeah.
something that we do so automatically that we don't even think about, okay, let me truly engage in this while I'm doing it. So, yeah, I think I'll definitely try that because that's not something that I've really paid attention to before.
Mm.
Like I just breathe to leave. I've never really thought about breathing to, help other areas of my life and stuff like that.
It's
Please
indeed
try,
something
Vanilla.
to
Let
try.
me know how it works for you. If you can try on your
Sure, I
own.
will. I will.
Yeah.
Speaking of stress at the moment, and we can see around us as well that a lot of people right now, when we talk about mental health, there are three main words that come out, and it's stress, anxiety, and depression. And a lot of times, people go without having proper coping mechanisms to manage these three things. So when we talked about unmanaged stress, academic pressures that can affect both your mental and physical health and cause potential issues like anxiety, depression, weight issues as well. What signs do you think our listeners could look out for when they are heading in the direction of finding ways to cope?
Yes. Actually, when we are under pressure or when we're facing challenging situations, we tend to experience some intense emotions, don't we all?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, which actually can be triggered by the outside circumstances most of the time. So we might be undergoing the pressure of performing well at the exam, for example, or having certain expectations from family or our own expectations. And if we're not well equipped with our inner strength, okay, that resilience, okay, that to face these challenges, we will succumb under the pressure of everything that is happening around us and will be at the mercy end of each and everything. So it's not actually about coping, it's more about equipping ourselves with that ability to face the challenges. So when our emotions get triggered by these circumstances and when we're not able to process it well, if not, if we're not able to like channelize them constructively, they tend to accumulate in the cells of our body. And that is what leads to these physical ailments or mental ailments. Physically, it could be digestive issues, chronic pain, body pain, migraines, headaches, obesity, and more. So actually, why our body and our mind are actually interlinked. So physiological imbalances lead to psychological issues and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you a question. When I'm in pain, can I have clarity of thought or can I concentrate and perform my task really well? Tell me.
No, we'll be
No.
distracted by the pain.
Right?
Yeah.
So I can't have clarity of thought. My mind won't be able to concentrate on what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So these physical elements, they don't just drop down from the sky, right?
Mm-hmm.
We actually have manifested them because our body and mind are not in the right place. They're in disarray.
Mm-hmm.
And if we feel challenged by these outside circumstances, not able to process well, make sense of it, maybe feel a lot of pressure from it. And what I do, I might just want to soothe these emotions. I might start binging on foods that may taste good, but are actually damaging to my cells. And over time, if I continuously do that, that can lead to obesity. I might be using food for comfort to soothe the intensity of my emotions, but it's only temporary. So now I might already be obese and I might create this image of myself that in my mind, I'm this or I'm that. I might become judgmental towards myself. So that leads to these psychological issues. But actually, none of these is who I actually am. I'm not my body and I'm not my mind. I'm not my emotions and I'm not my thoughts. So that's why creating this gap is important and becoming aware of ourselves so that we can make more conscious choices in life.
Wow. That is quite interesting as well because I've never really thought of my mind, my emotions, and my body as being separate from me. Like they're all interconnected, right? And all together they make us us. But I've never thought about it as, I am me even without those.
It's more like how aware are we of our emotions and our thoughts? So there's a gap there, right? So we're not merging it together. So I can see my emotions, I can feel it in my body. You feel it, right? When you feel emotion, you feel it as sensation. But I'm not that sensation. It's just something passing by through my
Oh, okay. I understand better now.
yeah. And the thoughts, I'm thinking thoughts. I can see my thoughts coming and going, but they come and go. They're transiting through the mind, right? They come and go. But I can watch it. So I'm watching it. So there's a gap there. I'm witnessing my emotions. I'm witnessing my thoughts, but I'm not a thought. I'm not the emotion. Am I?
Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
right.
So I
Yeah.
can observe it.
Hmm.
I can see, I can make some space there and I can actually see what is happening. That's awareness. Yeah,
Mm.
that's that awareness. That's presence that I'm talking about, that we were talking about earlier, that presence of
Yeah.
being.
A lot about deconstructing yourself into the different components they are, and it's easier, I guess, to tackle, let's say, issues or challenges when faced with them, rather than have just one sense of self or one construct in our mind where we're not able to differentiate whenever a challenge comes up. So
Mhm.
right now we're aware that emotions are emotions, and the reason why it's happening and so on.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We become
And
that witness of it, but
Mm.
not entangled in it.
true, true. And I think it kind of is the same thing for when challenges arise. Like we get stressed and then we get kind of entangled in that stress. But, if we're able to process it properly, it can also lead to positive progress.
Mm.
And so maybe can you help us a bit elaborate or clarify on how when we manage stress well, it can actually promote growth and our well-being rather than hinder it?
Absolutely, yes. I want to ask a question. What is stress? Like, does stress
Hmm.
exist anywhere outside of ourselves, or have you seen stress?
No.
All right. So actually, it is our own inability to face life challenges in the present
Mm.
moment, isn't it?
Mhm.
So what I might find challenging, the other
Mhm.
person doesn't find challenging at all.
Mhm.
Right.
Like they might be completely comfortable and unperturbed in the same situation that might be causing me a lot of stress.
Hmm.
So it is just about how I'm processing that situation that I find highly uncomfortable, very challenging, really disconcerting. And
Mhm.
the reason why I'm not able to deal with that challenge is because, again, these emotions are being triggered. And these emotions take over my thought process. They overpower my thoughts. I become very reactionary to the outside
Hmm.
circumstances, not responsive. I allow maybe emotions such as anger to pop up.
Mhm.
And if I am not conscious, I'll act upon that anger. And then I'll end up performing actions, making decisions that might be very regrettable later on. So it is how I can make sense of it, but whatever is happening, so that it doesn't affect me physically and mentally. It is about how much in control of myself I am, or how strong my inner mechanism is. It's
Hmm.
about bringing that body and mind in synchronicity, how I was saying, so that we are well equipped with that inner strength to face the challenges while still remaining unaffected by those circumstances. So then I can change my perspective. I can actually start to see the situation as opportunity for my growth. Just a question. Think about all the times in the past when you initially found certain situations highly uncomfortable or stressful. Haven't this same situation also help you to evolve as a human being?
Oh,
Yeah, they
many,
do.
many times.
Mhm.
Many times, right? Each time, probably after we change our perspective. So it
Mm.
just requires that shift in perspective, how we see everything happening for us and not to us. That narrative is
Mhm.
changing there.
Mhm.
So that how everything is presented to us as the situation or the specific setup, it is there to help me to understand myself better, to evolve myself, unleash my true potential.
Mhm.
And if I can only just shift that perspective, then everything becomes a blessing in disguise, actually. That
Hmm.
if that situation didn't happen at that time, I wouldn't be who I am right now. Maybe because it happened the way it did, I now know myself better. I have more clarity about myself. So it is about how much I'm able to make sense of that situation that is happening, how I'm able to process it, shifting my perspective, then everything becomes an opportunity for my personal growth instead of it being a hindrance to it. I can turn things around for myself this way. And we all have this ability actually to do it. All of us do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, all of us do.
It takes a lot
Absolutely.
of reflection, like you mentioned at the beginning. So a lot of self-awareness of where we are at right now, and realize that, okay, recently we did a workshop on growth mindset. So this relates a lot to having that shift between changing your fixed ideas, your fixed mindset to a growth one. So processing stress so that you grow in the midst of all these challenges rather than, staying in that mindset of it's stressing me out, that's challenging, I can't do it. This is feeling like too much. Yes, probably we are all allowed, not probably, we are all allowed to have our emotions and have, our difficult emotions with situations that we're facing. It would also be helpful to sit with those, acknowledge them, accept them, move forward with what they're trying to teach us or where they're trying to move us towards growth, and increasing our potential, I would say.
Yes,
Yeah.
Divisha, absolutely.
We are nearing the end of our session here, but before we leave, I would really like to pick your brain on practical tools. So practical tools, we talked a lot about emotions today and how it's important to manage them, to regulate them. So if you were to leave us with, let's say, a few practical tips on how to manage emotions when they're happening. So to be able to achieve a better alignment between the brain and the mind, sorry, and the body, how do we manage a situation, an emotional crisis, for example? When the emotions are too intense, what do we do?
Yes, it's a great question, Divisha. Very important one. You're absolutely right. The emotions will be there. We can't escape them. But the first most important step is to become aware of our emotions and to learn to channelize them more constructively. And that will happen only through our breath regulation. The breath I was mentioning earlier is the key, is the bridge between our body and mind. So we understand that we can't live without our breath, right? So it is that tool for our transformation, for transmuting these emotions, that intensity of these emotions. So actually, breath is available to us 24/7, right? This is the tool that's just so blessed with. Don't have to go out, get it from outside. It's just with you all the time. If we just only learn to regulate our breathing pattern in a specific way, that is what is going to subside the intensity of our emotions, gain clarity of thought, and it will happen with this conscious breathing technique. So this conscious breathing technique, if we can breathe more consciously, practice it daily. Like I was mentioning, you can start with 5 minutes first. I know it's hard in the beginning, but then you can extend to 20 minutes, morning and evening. Even if you start with 21 days, you will already start to notice progress. And in 6 months' time, you will see very significant results already happening, that you're a lot more calmer in the face of these challenges. Actually, our breath and mind have the same origin. So by regulating our breath in this specific way, we can pacify not just emotions, but also calm our overthinking mind. So we let go of these habitual thought patterns. And that's what's going to help to create that awareness and reduce that mental chatter that many of us experience, which drain our energy and impede our concentration. And that's what actually makes our academic performance go down, because we're not able to concentrate on the task. So conscious breathing technique will help to quieten our mind and take us to a state of more expanded awareness, free from these mental distractions. Actually, there was research done on this practice, that this technique helps to induce neuroplastic changes in the brain. And these changes are associated with improved cognitive function, this emotional regulation, and resilience to stress. So this research found that regular practice of this conscious breathing technique significantly enhance our attention. And wouldn't you say attention is a luxury today?
It is. It definitely is.
Yes, this improved attention is associated with better academic performance amongst those participants. And it is suggested that these young adults who incorporated this practice into their daily routine, they may experience not only improved mental clarity, but also enhance their academic outcomes as well. Yes.
This is definitely something our students should give a try, I guess, at least as an experiment for themselves.
Yes, absolutely. It is all experiential science. It is not just talking about it. You hear about it. It doesn't happen like that. It happens through the practices. So with daily practice, actually, if they need help, they can come to our center. We have wonderful programs happening at Abhyas Center in Mocha. Every Sunday we have events that is open, so they can join and learn these practices of conscious breathing. Also, we have corporate trainer courses to create harmony at the workplace, volunteer and internship opportunities as well. So that if they're practicing with us, they can much easier integrate these teachings into their daily lifestyle. It is very difficult to do without like learning proper technique. So it's better when someone can instruct you, can guide you through the process of it, so that it's much easier to integrate it into your daily life. So then it becomes part of your lifestyle, part of your daily routine.
Definitely, it's very helpful to have a guide, I guess, into finding what works for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good to give it a go. Sure.
I'll definitely call out our students, our listeners, to reach out to you for more information and for more guidance as well. So we'll give out those information to our students as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So we've reached the end of our session, which was very informative, and I already feel peaceful. I don't know if I can explain it like that.
Right.
For me, I guess what I'm going away with after this session would be to breathe more consciously, more deeply, as a daily practice, to stay in the present moment rather than focusing on my past, and to be aware of where I am at right now, where I want to be, so my goals, and that would make me align with my life purpose better as well, rather than focusing on what happened in my past, keep the overthinking patterns on and on. Just staying in the present and being mindful of how my body and my mind is at the moment. So I'm leaving this session with a lot more tips and practical tools, actually, to be more emotionally regulated. Any last words, Ala, before we leave?
Just want to thank both of you for the wonderful work you're doing at Middlesex University for the students' well-being. It is just I have no words actually to say. It's how important it is what you're doing for them and for all the listeners, actually, bringing that awareness and giving them practical tools as well. It is very much needed in today's world. It is very relevant. And I just want to thank from the bottom of my heart you for using this to bringing this initiative and allowing others to follow this path as well.
Thank you, Mo. We've learned so much from you today.
Yeah, we have. Thank you so much, Ala.
Thank you so much, Manuel Luisa.
Bye-bye, everyone, and happy listening.